Okay, so by default, the Bosch Solution 16 plus alarm panel from zones 1 to 8 uses a 3K3 end-of-line resistor, just a single end-of-line resistor. The way you wire it, just this is an example of the power. So you'd see the power in the middle there, and then so this is alarm contact over on the left-hand side here. And I've got my 3K resistor going from the common over into the tamper. So that'll also monitor the tamper as well. All right, and it's always good practice to keep the resistor at the end of, like at the device itself. You'll open a lot of these panels. A lot of installers do put them in the panel. I wouldn't recommend doing it because in that way, like, you don't actually know if there's an issue with the cable itself. All right, having the resistor there at the device, it just makes it's just better practice, man. To be honest with you, like I said, it's just complete laziness to have them at the panel, in my opinion. Anyway, so to see where the resistor value is, we go into the installer menu, then we head down to inputs, then we find global options, global input options, and then you'll see EOL value. So I said the 3K3 ohm resistor, that is the default there. Now, for example, if I wanted to have a split end-of-line resistor, so what that allows us to do is now double up in the zones 1 to 8, so for example, up to 16 zones. For example, zone 1 will also be zone 9, and then zone 2 will also be zone 10. And then so zones 9 to 16 will be a 6K8 resistor. So I've got this PIR here as well with a 6K8 in it. So what we do there is we scroll through this. It's not that one there. That there is actually if you're replacing a concept panel with a Bosch. That there is if you're doing a T-Con panel. Just a bit of a help there. Maybe you might do that out there in the field. But what we're actually looking for is that there. So split EOL, 3K3 and 6K8. So if I go ahead and save that, okay, select the menu, keep pressing menu until it gets to the exit, and then we head on out. So now what we will see is it will go straight to zone 10 and then start counting along to up to 16. All right. Now what I've actually done is I've disabled zones 2 to 8 just to make this video go a little bit quicker, and it'll just start to drag on. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to wire in my zone 9 here as well. So as I said, that would just simply go into zone 1, but having a 6K8, it'll let the panel know that it is actually zone 9. So what I'll do is I'll just show you that it is out really wide. Alright. So both zones 1 and 9 are actually in zone 1 on the panel there. Okay. And then like I said, so you'd put a 3K3 for zone 2, and then a 6K8 in whatever device you're using for zone 10, and then so forth up the panel there. Alrighty. So now what we're going to see is, so if I've got my little PIRs here, alright, when that little red LED's on, it'll say open there on the keypad, and then in this red LED's on, you'll also see zone 9 open. But see how we've got the other zones that are open, so everything from 10 to 16. I'll show you how to disable those zones. So for example, you might have a panel, you might not be using all the zones. What we do there is we go into the installer menu, and then what we do is we find inputs, and then from inputs we find zone properties, so that's just that one there, and then we go into the zone type. Now from the zone type, what we do is we go through each zone individually. So let's start at number 10, and you change it from whatever it is to not use. And then once you do that, then you won't actually see it come into the keypad. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to quickly go through and change all these. Okay, so now from here, you will see, so if this one red LED is on, you'll see the zone 1 open. And then now if this red LED is on, you will see zone 9 will be open. And then if we don't have neither of them on as it's going through, it should just come up with system trouble. And that is pretty much it for that one there. Well, I hope this video helped, and as always, thanks for watching. I'll put related videos in the description below. That's a wrap. Keep it simple.